Hey guys, so now we're in day 6 of this, Who's Your One series, and today we find ourselves in 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 4 through 6. And I'll be reading from the CSB. In their case, the God of this age has blinded the minds of the unbelievers to keep them from seeing the light of the gospel of the glory of Christ, who is the image of God. For we are not proclaiming ourselves, but Jesus Christ as Lord, and ourselves as your servants for Jesus' sake. For God, who said, "Let light shine out of darkness," has shone in our hearts to give the light of knowledge of God's glory in the face of Jesus Christ. So, jumping out of the gate here, the God of this age, meaning the world, and the God of this age being Satan. So as Satan being the God of this age, he tends to blind the minds of unbelievers. That is, blind them from seeing the light of God. The light of God being, Jesus and the glory of Jesus. But Satan uses things in a way that it could almost be allowed, but it's acceptable by the world's standards. But in God's standards, it's just not the way to go. So it's more like the world says, "Hey, let's go get blackout drunk here, wake up the next morning and not remember whatever happened," or "Hey, let's go have sex with this person," but in reality, that's far from what God has intended it to be. So Satan just blinds our minds to the actual truth. Moving on, we're going to talk about my next point being image of God, and how with that the image of God is going to be Jesus. But I'll get to another part of that in a second. But Jesus is God's son. So he reflects perfectly of God. Therefore, he is a true light of God. And as I was talking about previously, Satan blinds the minds of those from seeing the light of God. So in this sense, being the image of God, Jesus reveals God's glory to us. But also we know that in Genesis, we are images of God, but our sin has made us this image broken and a little bit blurry. So we have to come to grips with this and accept Jesus and his message so that we can unblur this image. So with us also being images of God, we should really take into consideration of, how others might view us. Say in this situation where you're at that party and you have the choice, you could drink a water or you could have some alcohol, Well, we should really think about this and no, I'm not condemning, going to a party, have fun, have fun, but also know who you represent and what you represent. What we represent is a God who is holy. I'm not even proclaiming myself to be holier than thou. I make my own mistakes. That's just how this is. We're not perfect. Like I've read last night, for all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. No, I did not read that last night, but we've all sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. So be careful on how you interact with other people so that the image of God is reflected strongly through you. All right, that brings me to my last point, being a light of darkness or being light in darkness. When God first speaks in the beginning of Genesis, "Let there be light," everything was dark. It was without void. And as you see today, I've mentioned it before, you look around and all you see on the media and stuff is darkness. So we as Christians should be a light in this dark world. Others should look at us, and this goes back to the image of God, and see, hey, there's something different about the way he or she lives their life, and I want to be a part of that. And with that, it just comes to be a powerful witness. You can, through your life, you have a testimony. The way you live will really show that. And, God can use anybody as a light for him. I mean, and we can see this clearly, when Jesus is calling his first disciples. I mean, he calls Peter, and they were just fishers, and he tells them to come with him, and they're going to be fishers of men. Nobody would have said, "Hey, these fishermen over here, they're going to help change this world. Like, they're going to be a light in this darkness." Look at Paul. Paul is out there, persecuting Christians. But all of a sudden on the road to Damascus, the Lord appears to him and has a change in him. And then he becomes one of, arguably the most important people in the spread of Christianity. And all this, it just goes to show God can use anybody. And see, with your light that God uses through you, he can turn on the light in somebody else. Y'all, what I'm saying is, we are not alone. With leaving off with "we are not alone," I'm going to close there, guys. Hope that everybody's getting something out of this. I feel like I'm growing from this, and I hope that y'all are too. And as I say, when everybody's texting me, they're like, "Hey, I really enjoy this," or anything. Guys, this isn't about me. This is about God, With God, without God, none of this would be possible. I do this for the glory of him. This isn't for me. This is about him. And I just want to live my life for him. I feel like if I'm not living my life for him, then my life is, in a sense, become meaningless. So that's all I have for y'all tonight. Everybody have a good night, y'all. Hope y'all had a great day, and stay safe out there.